Heyo! I'm Kat McLeod. Thank you so much for being on my channel today. It means the world to me. In today's video, we are going to be going through a step-by-step eyeshadow routine using one palette. I actually got requested to do this video, which is awesome. So I am just fulfilling all of my subscribers' every whim. Just kidding. So yeah, I'm going to be going over the products, a couple of brushes, a couple of techniques, just to help you maybe, get started on your own eyeshadow journey. This is going to be a really easy tutorial for beginners, and it's going to also kind of be a palette review of one of my favorite palettes. So just spoiled it there, but oh well. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. So the palette we're going to be using is by Milani. This is their Everyday Eyes palette in Must Have Naturals. I have owned this palette for like a long time. This is actually the replacement palette that I bought at Ulta because it was on sale for like $5. This palette normally retails on Milani's website, it's like $11, but on Walmart's website, it's like $9. So definitely go with Walmart before you go on a cosmetic company's website. Just a little pro tip for you there. As you can see, it's a bunch of cool colors, and trying not to blind you there, but they just blend so beautifully. They're just really pigmented. So those are the mattes. So mattes are really kind of the litmus test for how a palette is going to perform. And just swatch it for you there. They just keep going. I love it so much. But now Milani has kind of moved to this format, which is a 12 shade palette rather than a 6 shade palette. This is the Bold Obsessions palette. They also have the Soft and Sultry palette in this format. So that might be a better, kind of match for this one, a better substitute. But for today, we're gonna be using this one simply because it is laid out so easily. And if you look on the back, they even have really easy to follow instructions there. I'm not gonna be following that exactly because I disagree with it, mainly because they put down this shimmer shade over the entire lid to start out with. So I'm like, all right, already moved on, already over it. You could do so many things with just 6 shades. I already have my eyes primed, my eyelids primed with the Milani eyeshadow primer. It is this guy. And it comes out in this really thick little nude paste, and it's just amazing. It's the only one that I've found that doesn't crease on my eyes once I set it down with powder. So I've already primed with this, and then I set it down with my face powder when I powdered the rest of my face. So that just helps the eyeshadow shades to blend really nicely, but this primer helps it pop really well. It gives it a nice even base. So it's not like a 100% you need to do it step, but it's just something that if you want to take your eyeshadow game to the next level, you can. You don't have to. I'm going to be working with 5 different brushes today, and I'm going to be explaining them to you. It's simply for the purpose of demonstration. If you want to know how to get that even look, that beautiful blend, then that's what these brushes are going to be able to do. And they're going to be able to keep all those colors really clean. By using 5 different brushes, we're keeping those colors separate from each other. And so the colors are going to look a lot cleaner, a lot more vibrant, and less muddy than if you would just use one brush. However, if I were to use only one eyeshadow brush, and I've done this a bunch of times, I do it when I'm traveling all the time, I would pick one that's sort of like this. It's a little bit more flat, but as you can see, the end of the brush is actually sort of fluffy. So you can pack on shadow with the side of the brush, and then you can fluff out your shadow with sort of this 3/4 area right here on the side front, and then you can get that directional shading. So you can kind of, wing it outwards with this little edge right here, right at the very top of the brush. But for the purpose of demonstration, for the purpose of showing you how I like to do it, I'm going to be using 5 different brushes. But don't worry, never you fear. I will be walking you through little baby steps, the whole process. I will be here the entire time. You are not alone. Okay, so first things first, what we're gonna do is I'm going to take this brush. This is from NYX. This is their number 16 brush. This is the first brush we're gonna be using. And it is a really fluffy blending brush. So blending brushes do just that. They are there for fluffing out the color in just a very even way, very light gradient, you know, they're not there to pack on all your colors and they're not there for harsh edges. I'm dabbing into this lightest matte shade and I'm just going to pop it in the crease kind of all over. Since my eyes are sort of hooded, when I open them up, the lid sort of disappears, so I like to put my crease shade just above my actual natural crease so that it actually shows up. I'm just doing this for that even blend, a couple of different layers. You don't have to move as slow as I do, it's fine. Then I'm going to take this darker matte shade, tap off the excess so it doesn't fall on your bottom lid when it falls off of the brush, and I'm going to tap it on the outer corner of my lid. I'm just tapping it right there. And I like to tap it at first because it gets you the darkest pigmentation that you can get with the shadow that is already on your brush. So then you kind of have an idea of how dark it can go. And then you can start to blend it inwards just a smidge. I'm just blending to about the halfway point of my eye. I don't like to go much further than that because if you put a dark shade all the way on your lid and then try to put a light shade on top of it, it can wind up looking really muddy because the dark shade sort of shows through that light shade. And I'm sort of moving the shade outwards in almost a triangular shape right here, because that's where that natural shadow falls on my lid already. And so I'm not trying to do anything crazy here. I'm not trying to make it look like my eye is a different shape than it is. I'm trying to accentuate the shape that my eye already has. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. As you're doing your eyeshadow, especially on these first couple of matte shades, you want to open up your eye and have a look and see if it looks even. You want to see if you're following the natural shadow that your brow bone creates. We call that taking a step back. You just want to take a step back, assess the situation, and then adjust as needed. Okay, so I've got that pretty darn dramatic. I'm now going to take this flat brush, and flat brushes are really amazing for packing on shadow to its full saturation. So I'm going to take this middle shimmery shade, and then the way I like to pack on shadow, I don't just pat, pat, pat. I go in and I tap it and I sort of smudge it just a little bit, maximum of like a centimeter. And I find that that helps the shadow to sort of rub off. I'm putting this from the, I guess the 2/3 point of my eye back to the 1/3 point of my eye. So it's just this little third right here where that matte shade was blending into the lighter area. And the reason that I'm doing that is because shimmer shades have a tendency to blend out a lot smoother than matte shades do. So I'm starting here in the middle sort of area, moving back to that 1/3 area, leaving part of this matte area untouched by the shimmer. I don't want to make it muddy. I don't want to make the entire thing shimmery because that can look really unnatural. When you put a shimmer shade in an area that is in shadow, it can look very unnatural because it's catching the light, but it's also making it look like it's receding away from the light. So it can look very unnatural, whereas like a matte shade looks a lot more like a natural shadow because it's matte and because it is not only absorbing the light and being matte, but it's also a darker shade. And so I don't know exactly how to explain it. That's the best I can do. Okay, moving this into that 1/3 area, blending it out just by swiping downwards very gently. And then pressing and pushing it. There we go. So that's helping it look like the eye is still catching light all the way out to this last third. And then it looks like it's moving away from the light because it becomes matte at that point. I love those two shades in combination because they are almost exactly the same color. Even though they're a different formula, they're almost exactly the same color. And so it just creates this really beautiful illusion when you put them next to each other. Okay, next, I am going to take, I think I'm gonna take that same flat brush. I'm just gonna scrub it off on my little makeup pad. You don't have to have one of these. You could use a loofah. You could use the part of a dish sponge that is the rough side. You know, obviously a brand new dish sponge. Don't use one that you've used for dishes. You could use steel wool. You could use a lot of things to clean off your makeup brushes, but it helps to just knock off the last color so that you're not blending those colors together. Okay, so I'm going to pat into this golden shade, that large shade in the pan, and I'm going to come on the inner third of the lid and blend into that darker shimmer shade. Okay, alrighty, now that we've got that, I'm going to take my little, I call it a liner brush. It's really like a smudger brush, and it's really the concealer brush from e.l.f. It's meant for concealing, but I love these types of brushes because as you can see, it's really flat. And so you can just get your darkest shade and you can put it right where you want it. So I'm grabbing that matte black in the palette. I'm gonna come out to this outer corner and I'm going to create like a liner with it. And I'm using the side of the brush to thicken that up and smoke it out as I desire. I love little bitty brushes like this because you can get so close to the lashes. What a pretty effect that makes. Okay, I'm going to attempt to even it out on the other side. Okay, now that I've got that done, I am going to go back in and deepen this outer corner. I am going to use a blending brush to do that. This is from Elizabeth Mott, and it is a little bit more densely packed than this one from NYX. As you can see, the bristles are a lot shorter, and so this is going to pack the color on a little bit better than a regular fluffy blending brush. So I'm going to go back in with this dark brown and just kind of pat on top of that liner, just on the outer corner. This is going to help add emphasis and contrast to that area and also help that black to blend into that dark brown and look a little bit more seamless. You could also just run this clean brush over that liner and smudge it out a little bit more. I just like the precise look that it's giving me today. Lovely. Now we are going to take that little smudger brush again, and I'm just going to use whatever is left over on it, and I'm going to smudge right at the outer corner of the eye and bring it just next to the lashes, just for 1/3 to 1/2 of my eye. This helps those lashes look a little bit thicker. It looks a little crazy right now, but in just a second I'm going to smoke it out, and then it's going to look a lot more natural. I'm going to take that brush and brush it off a little bit. I'm going to go into this dark brown, and I'm going to sort of mix it together with this lighter brown just so that I get a little bit less intense of a shade. And I'm going to come underneath that liner that I just put there, underneath that black. And I'm going to smoke it out a little bit further. I'm going to be really smudgy with this, not trying to be as precise as I was with the black. And this is going to make it look like my eyeball itself is so large and is catching so much light that it is casting its own shadow and basically has its own gravitational field. And you can blend that out almost as far as you desire. It doesn't have to be very close. I personally don't like to take it out very far because it would look unnatural on me, and also I would be afraid of making it look like I had dark circles under my eyes. I don't want to create that effect. You can do whatever you think looks good on you. I mean, no rules, right? There we go. Now I'm going to come in with this brush from e.l.f. This one is their, I guess it's called their smudger brush, but I love that pencil tip for precise application. So I use this brush with all of my shimmery shades. I'm going to come in with this sort of rose gold shade, ballerina pink, and I'm going to pop it on the inner corner of my eye and also underneath my brow bone. I like to draw little circles with it and then pat and smudge. I like to draw all over that corner of my eye. It just helps it look like it's just grabbing the light. The light has no choice. And I also like to take it just above right here, just above my tear duct area. I got that tip from a YouTuber named Jamie Page. But yeah, it's just an awesome tip. I love that effect. It's almost like an angelic effect. Drawing a little bit above, little circles, little smudges, whatever it takes. Also going to come on the brow bone. If you have really pale skin, be careful about pinker highlighters or more corally ones, or, you know, basically any highlights that you can see their color in the pan, because it can show up that color when it's not directly in the light, you know, so like when you turn your head, it could look like a darker stripe up here. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and curl my lashes and put on some mascara. I'll be right back. Okay, y'all, this is the completed makeup look. So I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please go ahead and give it a like. You know what to do. Subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell, share it, sing it from the mountaintops, all that good stuff. Thank you so much, and I will see you in a future video. Okay, bye!